We welcome our chief guest, Chief Minister Bugti. Thank you very much for coming. Distinguished guests, we have a wonderful panel as well. Former caretaker Prime Minister Kakar is here. We have Adam Weinstein, and we'll do the introductions in a little bit, but first we'd like to start with Tilawat. We have a distinguished panel, but I would like to start first uh, with Senator Kakar. If you'd like to say a few words. Senator Kakar, as I said, was a former caretaker prime minister, but also has served in the Senate in various capacities. His views on foreign policy and internal affairs are well known. A true intellectual. We're delighted to have you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure and honor to be in the midst of Davos community, Davos Pakistani community. And Pathfinder and Mr. Ikram was the one who ushered me and introduced me to World Economic Forum many years ago. And from there on, we continued with this relationship. Today, I'm again so happy that I am sitting next to my very dear friend Sarfraz, who happens to be leading the province in a very challenging time. Very capable individual in that part of the world where Pakistan is facing quite a peripheral challenges in real terms. And when there is a crisis, you look for leadership, you look for strength, you look for inspiration throughout the globe, I guess. And we are quite lucky to have him over here. As today we need to say something about Balochistan. Balochistan is a land when the West initiated to approach towards east, when Alexander wasn't interested to go towards the Western Hemisphere and he chose to approach Persia. And along with that, those nomadic tribes of the north, which is today known as Central Asia. He hailed the whole journey when he was coming towards the North India. That is the part which is current day Pakistan and half of that is Balochistan. I was once joked by some intellectuals. I won't call them pseudo-intellectuals, Michael, but they were intellectuals. And they said that, oh, he's boasting about the historical genesis of more than 12,000 years, although the Indus civilization in itself is a bit younger than that. And I repeat that, yes, we are more than 12,000 years old. Mehergarh civilization was discovered by the French archaeologist mid-70s. And they were the people who gave the early inhabitants to Indus civilization. It was the Mehergar, the Bolan, from where we started this journey. And then many historical changes happened. Many races settled there. Many languages emerged there. So we've got a collective memory which has multiple and diversified sort of social, religious, and political experiences. But it has been housed to Buddhism. It has been housed to polytheism. It has been housed to Hinduism. It has been housed to monotheistic latest settlement of Islam, starting from Sanskrit to Arabic to Persian. All the languages have influenced us, and now we have got our own distinct languages, the main three languages of Pashto and Balochi and Brahui. So an area which is rich in history, an area which is rich in natural resources, and particularly when the world would be heading towards sustainable development and the alternate energy, there are rare earth materials in form of natural resources, and probably we would be the one important source to the global supply chain in next decade, two or so. So a country which half of that is comprised by our province, rich history, natural resources, scarce and sparse population. We're not that many. It's an opportunity and challenge both. So the opportunity and the challenges are that whether we choose to have the politics of identity or the politics of development, or a mix of both. There are radical positions where people want to have only politics of identity, and there are people who, on another extreme, wants to focus on the economic exploitation, and the development paradigm is there in the ultra-capitalist model. But there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance which needs to be struck down, and all the relevant political and economic questions can be answered over there. So we are Pakistan's challenge, and we are Pakistan's future, and we are Pakistan's opportunity. We are both. I'll curtail over here what I need to speak, because I'm not today interested to speak at length. I'll give the floor to Mr. Sehgal would give floor to Sarfraz. But yes, of course, I'm open to the Q&A session. Probably we will have more interactive action over there. Thank you so much.
As the Senator was saying, a culturally rich, minerally rich, area with a absolutely, wonderful history as well. I'll go next to Adam Weinstein. Adam is Deputy Director of the Middle East at the Quincy Center. Adam is a frequent visitor to Pakistan, a former Marine as well, and a lawyer by training. So Adam, over to you.
I want to thank Pathfinder Group and the Sehgal family. And it's an honor to share the stage with the Chief Minister and former caretaker Prime Minister. And I think your point that you made about the importance of having politics of identity and development at the same time, I think that's a very important point, and to strike a balance, and that you can't have exclusively one without the other. So Balochistan has become synonymous with both Pakistan's aspirations and its challenges. It's a rich province in natural resources. It hosts a 760-kilometer long coast, and it's the recipient of significant CPEC investment. However, it also struggles with terrorism, armed separatism, insufficient human development, and shares a border with two economically isolated countries that, of course, are both sources of security challenges on their own, and we've seen that over the last couple of years. Pakistan, in general, is facing a dual security threat right now from militancy in Balochistan and the renewed challenge of the TTP and KP, both of which have also challenged Chinese investment in the country and also Chinese workers. And by the way, this isn't, I come from the United States, this isn't a good thing for the United States either. In fact, I don't think Pakistan should be a place where the United States and China compete. I actually think we have very similar interests in many ways, and we can operate in parallel with one another. And the relationships are different, but both are important. And I think Pakistan also wants to strike a balance. Thank God we haven't returned to an era where bomb blasts were routinely occurring in major Pakistani cities, such as we saw in the 2000s and 2010s. Much of the violence is occurring in places like southern KP and Balochistan. The TTP under Nur Wali Masood is shrewd enough to focus much of its violence on the police and the security forces. And he's also been able to reabsorb numerous splinter groups. And this puts the hard-won gains of Azerbaijan at risk of being completely reversed if we're not careful. And while it's a good thing that this violence is largely out of sight and out of mind for many Pakistanis and the wider world, there's also a risk that because this is not affecting the country as a whole in many ways, or at least not on a day-to-day basis, that it will be allowed to fester into something uncontrollable. And I think Pakistan and the world has to ensure that that doesn't happen. There are some in the international community, and particularly in the United States at times, who view this surge in terrorism as the consequence of Pakistan's own actions. I think this is a simplistic narrative. While I think Pakistan is receiving a rude awakening regarding the true nature of the Afghan Taliban, it's also true that Pakistan was largely put in an impossible position during the 20-year US war in Afghanistan. Pakistan was asked to take a gamble on the US resolve to remain in Afghanistan and the resilience of an Afghan government that frankly melted away before the US even completed its withdrawal. So historians will spend decades dissecting our mutual failures during the war on terror era. And for the last 2 decades, militancy has surged back and forth across the border like a seesaw. And the real tragedy is that both the United States and Pakistan fought similar terrorist threats, but rarely in a coordinated fashion. What's important today, though, is that Pakistan should remain stable and terrorism should not be tolerated in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, or anywhere else. And I think we're at a point where the United States, Pakistan, and the world can work together in a more functional way, particularly because US troops are not in Afghanistan. And in some ways, our interests are actually even in more alignment than they were before because of that. And of course, not all sources of terrorism are homegrown, and that's particularly true in Balochistan. And I think it's important for people to understand Pakistan's perspective and not dismiss Pakistan's concerns when it comes to the meddling of other powers inside Pakistan. In fact, former Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel admitted as much about India's occasional role in sponsoring terrorist groups. But it is actually Pakistan that can create the conditions that deny the opportunity to exploit conditions inside the country. And it's Pakistan that has the power to change that dynamic. There's a risk of conflating demands for increased civil liberties and provincial autonomy with violent separatist insurgent movements in a way that actually empowers those violent movements. And I think that needs to be avoided at all costs. There's often a debate about what comes first, human development, economic growth, or security. And the reality is that Pakistan and Balochistan has the hard task of tackling all three at once. And I think that speaks to what you mentioned about the politics of identity and the politics of development having to happen at the same time. Connectivity is important, but it can't replace economic reforms and the importance of growing Pakistan's industrial base. You can have all the connectivity in the world, and certainly Balochistan is in a strategic location, but without economic reform and political stability, it's just not going to work. So you have to have both. But I'm a strong believer that Pakistan will emerge as an economic powerhouse an increasingly important country during our lifetimes, and that Balochistan will be part of that. I think it was yesterday that former Finance Minister Miftah Ismail talked about the importance of investing in Pakistan's people, including in Balochistan, and that investment will take 20 years. And I think it was important that he was realistic about the time it takes to make real change. So in closing, I want to share something about another country that demonstrates the power of 20 years and hopefully will end on a positive note. In 1999, Gerald Segal, some of you may know who he was then the director of studies at the prestigious IISS think tank in London, one of the most prestigious think tanks in London. And he wrote an essay in Foreign Affairs that was taken quite seriously. And it was entitled, "Does China Matter?" I'll share some of the quotes from that essay. He wrote, "Only when we finally understand how little China matters will we be able to craft a sensible policy toward it." He added, "It is a medium-rank military power, and it exerts no political pull at all. China matters most for the West because it can make mischief, either by threatening its neighbors or assisting anti-Western forces further afield." Regarding China's economic potential, he wrote, "Western companies were bamboozled into believing that staying for the long haul meant eventually making money in China." And he closed with, "Bereft of friends, China is a beacon to no one and an ally to no one." And this was written in 1999. And of course, if you wrote that today, you couldn't possibly get it placed in the Foreign Affairs. It's laughable. And I hear many of these similar statements. You could almost replace China with Pakistan and say the same thing. And people will say that today and they'll be taken seriously. But the absolute inaccuracy of these statements about China, I think, really demonstrates the power of 20 years if the right decisions are made. And it's my hope that in 20 years, we will be saying the same thing about Pakistan's naysayers. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you for the notes of optimism. I think it's much needed sometimes in darkness. I'd like to now invite our chief guest, Chief Minister Bugti, from the esteemed Bugti family, but has also served as senator and in various committees as well. Thank you, sir, for coming. I give the floor to you.
Thank you so very much. Before I start, I must say thank you for the kind words shared by Senator Anwaar-ul-Haq Kakar, an old friend. And thank you for such good views about Pakistan. Let me start, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great privilege and honor for me to being here is always a dream. I thank you, Mr. Sehgal and the Pathfinder Group for inviting me here and sharing my views about my province and the progress we made and the progress we are hoping in coming years. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan, as you all know, is a populous country of 240 million, most of whom are very young. Pakistan's rich human resource and potential for future growth have often been discussed at this forum. What is often overlooked in the narrow and much needed focus on the potential offered by Pakistan's federating units, I wish to use this opportunity to draw your attention to my province, Balochistan. Since I assumed responsibility as the Chief Minister, I have prioritized my people's social and economic development. I firmly believe that there is a significant scope for progress in Balochistan's economic development, a win-win future for the people of Balochistan and Pakistan and beyond. Building local and international partnership towards that and remains vital for our success. We have a strong case for your interest and investments in Balochistan province. I wish to elaborate further on this point today. Ladies and gentlemen, Balochistan is a land of unparalleled opportunity. This province covers 44% of Pakistan landmass. It is blessed with the wealth of natural resources, a strategic location, and immense untapped potential ready to be realized. Connectivity is the key word in Balochistan's future. My province is Pakistan's gateway to regional and global trade and its futures. With a 770-kilometer coastline, including the Gwadar port, we are positioned to connect the region, including Central Asia and the Middle East, as of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Gwadar can be potentially transformed into a hub of commerce, logistic, and industrial activity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to unpack the word untapped potential of Balochistan. In a sense, we start from Balochistan's rich natural resources. No discussion on development in Balochistan can be had without its rich mineral deposits, which are among the richest in the world. From the Rakotic copper gold mines to abundant reserves of chromite, marble, and natural gas, Balochistan offers immense opportunities for extraction, processing, and export. In addition to minerals, the Balochistan province produces high quality apples, pomegranates, and grapes. Our livestock sector, with over 45 million animals, presents untapped prospects for organic meat and dairy production and leather and wool industries. Our coastline is rich with marine biodiversity, supporting a robust fishing industry and aquaculture potential. From fisheries to ecotourism, our coastal resources offer sustainable investment opportunities. As we highlight these opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you that my government is committed to creating a business-friendly and forward-looking environment. Our policies prioritize investment facilitation, infrastructure development, and regulatory reforms. First, Balochistan is home to special economic zones like Gawadar Free Zone, which offers unmatched incentives such as tax holidays, duty-free import of machineries, and streamlined customs procedures. Secondly, enhanced connectivity through roads, railway, and energy projects. Our commitment to infrastructure is to connect markets, integrate communities, and ensure shared prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, development is not just about economic growth, it is about transforming lives. My government is deeply invested in social development, including education, healthcare, and employment generation. We believe in inclusive growth where the benefits of progress reach every corner of Balochistan and uplift the lives of its people. We also focus on empowering local communities by engaging them as stakeholders in resources management and development projects. Our sustainable approach ensures that the economic gains are shared equally while preserving our culture and environmental heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to join us on this journey of transformation. Balochistan is open for business and we be eager to partner with you. We can harness the provincial potential to create shared values for Balochistan, Pakistan, and beyond. Whether you are interested in mining, agriculture, fisheries, or urban development, the opportunities are boundless, and the time is to act now. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sehgal and Pathfinder Group for providing this platform and all of you for your time and attention. Balochistan stands at the uh, cusp of a new era of development. I look forward to welcoming you to our province, where we can build a future of prosperity and progress together. Thank you all. Thank you for patience hearing. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you very much, Chief Minister. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful words. And obviously, you have all of our good wishes for
Thank you.
Balochistan.
Thank you.
Know, we'll open this up for questions, and then we'll do a word of thanks. But before that, I wanted to thank obviously members of our family, members of and members of the Pathfinder Group for putting this event together. They worked very hard. So I'd like to thank, please a round of applause for the hard work. Thank you. So we'll start with questions.
My name is Amir Shaukat. I'm Ambassador of Pakistan to Switzerland. I have no question, but I just wanted to make a very short comment. I've been here 3.5 years and regularly attending events organized by Mr. Ikram Sehgal. I drive all the way from Bern. But this time when I received an invitation from him that there will be a breakfast for Balochistan, I was so happy, sir. Why? Because when you go out on the promenade, you see many countries, not talking about corporate world, setting up their pavilions, but there are many countries setting up their pavilions. One of our neighboring country, they have many of their provinces setting up their pavilions. But when I saw Balochistan, I said, wow, that's it. Thank you very much, sir, for bringing Balochistan to Davos. And thank you to the Chief Minister of Balochistan, Honorable Sarfraz Bugti and our former Prime Minister, Senator Anwaar-ul-Haq Kakar to coming all the way from Pakistan to address you about Balochistan. It's a great province and great people. Thank you very much. I'll not take.
Thank you. Thank you for being
But
here.
I just wanted to highlight it and appreciate this effort of Mr. Ikram Sehgal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and it's a real honor to have Mr. Sarfraz Bugti here, and some of you don't know another attachment to him. We're both aliens
Yes.
from Lawrence College, Goragali, right? And he's a very big supporter of Goragali, and everybody sort of talks about him. And before him, of course, Zafrullah Jamali, who was the Prime Minister, also was there. In fact, most of the donations of grounds, etc., that have come out of the mountains have been done by Balochistan in Lawrence College, Goragali. So I would invite more questions, please. Anybody?
Name is Abu Bakr. I'm the CEO of Pakistan Export Board. Joined them 3 months ago. I have a question this time, as thank you for, and honored to be here. I think about Balochistan, I think a lot of people know the potential. Is how big is the potential, and we've heard this. If you can share with the audience here is what makes it different this time that we're going to make it happen, and we can actually see the benefits for the country and for the people of Balochistan.
Thank you so much. First, I must thank Mr. Sehgal, and I thank him for giving a facility of swimming pool in our college and hostel that we always miss, because in our time there was no swimming pool. It is cold like Davos. So Balochistan, what is the difference is this time the things are changing because of our reforms agenda. We want a friendly environment for the investors from all over the world, especially from the West or anywhere. People are coming from Gulf and people are coming from other parts of our country too. So the change is the government is focusing on a friendly environment, removing the bureaucratic hurdles and this red taping through which our province suffers for a long time. So I assure you one thing, that whenever someone come for an investment or for any untapping our mineral resources or anything, we are very forthcoming and we are looking forward for everyone. So this time business means business, and we are focusing on, because without partnering yourself, INGOs, NGOs, we cannot develop a province of with a low population and a mass land. So this is only possible when every one of us join hands, and we understand this, and we are doing a public-private partnership program through which we are giving facilities to our people. So I welcome you, and I think the change is we are serious this time, and we want our country to grow, and especially our province to grow. Thank you.
Chief Minister Saab, I wanted to know about the initiatives that you're taking in the field of human development. As Adam mentioned, it's the 20-year factor that makes all the difference, yeah? So if 20 years down the line we want to see a change in Balochistan, we need to invest in education. So what are you doing specifically in that area? Thank you.
Thank you, and this question is very close to my heart because education is the key to change. We have introduced a big scholarship program this time in the name of great leader Benazir Bhutto Shahid, and that scholarship program, it is from the PhD to the school level. The first scholarship we offer is any student from Balochistan who wish to do a PhD anywhere in the world. We are fully giving them a fully funded scholarship for everyone, every student, whosoever. Second component of that scholarship program is for the minorities. You know, we have minorities, though they are less in numbers, but they are the one who are suffering for last many years. So we decided to give them scholarships, 50 students each year in nursery class and in hostels, in boarding schools, in Lawrence College, Murray, in HSM College, Lahore, and in Sadiq's Public School, Bhavalpur, for 16 long years. They will get education for 16 years from the government expenses, a fully funded scholarship again. Imagine for a second, after 16 years, probably I'll be not sitting here, but 16, maybe like 800 students of the minorities will be reading in elite schools of Pakistan, which was a dream. And the third component is for the transgenders. None of us has ever think about the transgenders. They are also suffering in our society. So this time we offered a scholarship and a skill program for the transgenders under this Benazir Bhutto scholarship program. So this is, and the last one is about, the second last is about the children, the boys and girls reading in the remote areas of Balochistan, in high schools, in government high schools, remote districts of province. We offered them 10 boys and 10 girls, those who topped their education in metric in 10th class. We will be giving them free education till 16 years of their education. They want to be a doctor, they want to be a lawyer, they want to be a businessman, whatever they want to read or study, we'll provide them this opportunity from the grassroots. And it is, the merit is the district merit. So a boy from Dera Bugti cannot compete a boy from Quetta. A girl from Awaran cannot compete a girl from maybe Khuzdar. So this is the focus from the ground. The last one is about the Shohda's families, those who gave their lives, the civilian Shohdas. They are never looked after. Well, a person moving in a rickshaw or in a bike, and he died or she killed in a terrorism incident. So who will look after their children? So we decided to adopt their children for 16 years of their education, wherever they want to read, whatever they want to read. So this is our scholarship program. And plus, first time in history of Balochistan, we have increased 116% of our budget for the education. And we are providing, my more focus is on the girls' education. And you people will be glad to know, I have 5 female deputy commissioners in Balochistan. So, and without offense to my male officers, I'm telling you very honestly, they are doing far better than the male deputy commissioners. So this is our education program. Thank you.
My name is Ahmed. I've just turned 25. I'm a graduate from King's College. And Mr. Santer, you mentioned as well that Balochistan is full of vast, untapped resources and potential. I would like to ask, what are the main challenges that we face in extracting these vast natural resources, and what is the game plan in order to convert them from being just untapped to actually making practical use of them to improve the province and to provide these resources for Pakistan to use?
As far as this claim is concerned, I don't think it's a mythical one. It's quite a tangible one. There was a volcanic eruption about 2 millennia ago, and it is called Titian Belt. It starts from Nimroz province of Afghanistan, which is bordering our Chaghi area, and it cuts into Sistan Balochistan, which is part of Iran, and the tail end is our Waziristan. So that volcanic eruption has given birth to many materials which is needed and appreciated and valued in 21st century more than what it was about 2 millennia ago. What would we need? Of course, as the case was in the Persian Gulf, when the oil resource were exploited, they needed the partnership with the Western companies, and the oil was there under the earth, but that partnership converted it and made it into a valuable commodity. So you do require global partnerships. The resource of copper and gold was there until and unless the seismic surveys and the rest, which has to be followed by the Titian company, which was later on bought by the Barrick and Gold. That sort of investment is required. So once we have those global partners, my own assessment is there are probably more than 20 recordics available throughout the district. I mean, even more than that. So, but this is just a generic claim which I'm saying. In order to exploit that, you need that scientific data, and that data would come through expertise, through financial strength, which is available on the Western Hemisphere. It's available in China. It's available in other areas. So we were and we are looking for multiple partnerships. And I'm pretty much sure that there is a game plan now. The mining policy at the provincial level provides the legal framework, the right kind of partners we are searching, and the right kind of partners are taking interest. When I was the caretaker prime minister, one of the largest mining group in the world, Tinto, its CEO, came and met me in New York. And if Tinto is taking interest in area, I'm telling you, it's a good news. It's good news for everyone. So I'm pretty much optimistic that once we plan it as we are doing it, inshallah, within 2 decades, it would be what sort of natural resources have played a role in Canadian development or Australian development or even Chile's development. It can happen in Pakistan's case too, for the collective good of the people. Thank you.
Seem to be short of questions. I'd like to elaborate on how Kakar Saab and Sarfraz Bugti and Jamal Kamal, we met first. Jamal Kamal was the chief minister, and we had a Council of Pakistan newspaper editors meeting in Quetta.
Yes.
And we went with very skeptical. The Council of Newspaper, they were very skeptical about Quetta and Balochistan, but they had a meeting there in the Serena. And after 3 of them spoke, our Council of Pakistan newspaper editors were stunned. And they really, our things started from that time. And in fact, with Anwaar-ul-Haq Kakar Saab, and he was instrumental in getting Jamal Kamal to Davos. And I would like to share what happened after that, because not many people know. At that point of time, the terrorism was not that much. It was there, but not that much. And there was a lot of interest. And the interest was, interestingly enough, from Europe. And a group got together and they proposed a BOT, a railway line between Reykjavik and Gwadar. A BOT, total. And the BOT was, and they added when Anwaar-ul-Haq Kakar Saab came by and said, let's do more. We said we have a railway line, coastal railway line from Gwadar to Karachi. Yeah. And on the way we said there are lagoons, the most beautiful lagoons in the world. The most beautiful lagoons in the world. People don't even know about it. But there are lagoons very close to Karachi, very accessible. And the coastline is 330 days without rain. So sun-swept coastline, beaches, pristine beaches. So you could basically, and with the help of some Hong Kong investors who had money to invest in real estate and didn't know where to invest, they put together a package which said we'll make 3 coastal towns and we'll make industrial areas north of the road, etc., etc. And of course, unfortunately, the government changed. A new government came in. But I must tell you, we fell afoul at the hands of bureaucracy. Other than the fact that the then railway minister, when we met him, and I was sent, I'm talking about the previous Imran Khan government, at that point of time, the railway minister went to see him about this project because we referred to him. And the next thing you knew, that third day he was sitting here in Geneva talking to them to do it directly with myself. So that was sort of this thing, and the bureaucracy turned around, and a deputy secretary of railways rang me up. Deputy Secretary of Railways rang up and said, can you please tell us the amount of that we are just on the pre-feasibility stage. And it was a comprehensive pre-feasibility, which I shared with you and this thing. The second point, so I see a lot of hope. I really see a lot of hope. I started seeing that hope when I first met
Yeah.
two of you and with Jam Kamal, and I must say that, they were all open about it, and they want to do something.
I would also avail this opportunity. I mean, I was so pleased to hear what Adam had to say. And someone whose background is of a Marine and who understands completely the security situation and assessment. There are a lot of people I understand who are concerned and worried about the violence and the terrorist threat and the surge. But prior to being frightened, we need to understand and appreciate the nature of the threat. If we don't, it mislead us on certain calculation. First of all, as a humble student, I have learned that this civil unrest and the civil war or the terrorism has become a subspecialty for last 2 decades under the political science discipline in different Western universities. Prior to that, it was not treated a specialized area. And in my observation, I've seen many educated people have very strong views on that without having a legal or a academic framework behind that. For instance, if I'm suffering from cardiac issue, I would never ever go to an ENT specialist and would ask for my cardiac treatment. So that's how the security challenge and the practitioners and the policymakers, we need to give them the respect of the discipline. My 36% of the non-state actors have won the violent contest, and 38% state actors have won. But whether somebody likes it or not, the decision has been made on battlefield by Adam. It's decided on the battlefield that which side is the winning side and which side is the losing side. There's an idea of so-called dialogue. Dialogue is always in the post-conflict situation. When we lost in 1971, we surrendered before the Indian troops. Then the dialogue started that, okay, these 93,000 people would be handed over in blah, blah, this position. They would be coming back to Pakistan, so on and so forth. So always, whenever there are negotiations, the negotiation is in the favor of a party which is perceived as the winning party and a party which is perceived as not a winning party. The principle of survivability and the principle of lethality. These are the two principles on which these organizations or these non-state actors, they survive. They're illegitimate. State actors are legitimate. So what do? They numerically, they are at a disadvantage, though they try to survive the time. That's what classically TTA did with the NATO and American presence in Afghanistan. They melted away in 2002 when Adam was referring to their recent melting away of Afghan National Army. I exactly recalled when that British journalist of the BBC was leading from the north and entered Kabul along with the NATO troops. And it appeared as if he has taken vendetta of First Afghan-Anglo War, and they just took over Kabul within days, and all of the TTA melted. There was no one up till 2004, no serious challenge in Afghanistan, until a new war theater in Iraq was created. And that, I mean, the rest is the conspiracy theory. I'm not interested in conspiracy theories. And these people like Zarqawi and the rest who were actually fighting in Afghanistan, and they took some master trainers, Afghan master trainers, and whatever happened in Fallujah was a classical a hope for the insurgents that such a huge military might like US can be taken on. And that provided an inspiration And post 2005 and 6, they re-emerged in the border areas of Pakistan and Afghanistan all. And now, when we were advocating, and there was a phrase which was called by our side the responsible withdrawal. And what actually did we mean by responsible withdrawal? The responsible withdrawal was that all the inventories, all the small arms, big arms, they should have been in the right hands. And I think so. I don't blame America and NATO on that. They were in the right hands because they invested in Afghan National Army. They squandered $2 trillion along with 2 decades. And they were expecting that they would be holding the ground and they would be taking this challenge, defending their own homeland, which they were supposed to do because their nationalist tendencies were quite, I would avoid any negative comment, but they were quite boastful about their nationalist credentials, that, oh, we Afghans have, that there are the graveyard for this empire and that empire. But they melted within 72 hours. And the small arms which was given to them was supposed to be used for next 20 years. And that small arms is available in the black market today in and around Afghanistan, Pakistan, and it is hitting even Middle East in the hands of, I don't know, Hamas or whatever organizations are there. And now what is actually happening over there, when they have these thermal gadgets with them, they've got the capability to hit my soldier from 3 miles with the precision. So the surge is due to these gadgets. That capability has added in their capacity to kill. It's a new sort of challenge in terms of technology to us. No blame game. I think so. Pakistan needs appreciation. Pakistan needs to be understood more. And Pakistan needs global partnership to curb and control this peripheral violence. If we don't, I am warning you, the entire non-state actors group within the region, they will find a safe haven over here. They will be grouping and regrouping over there, and all sort of ultra radical agendas. It can go towards Moscow, it can go towards Beijing, it can go towards Western European capital. It can have a spillover across Atlantic even. I mean, if somebody is thinking that Atlantic is secure, that's what they thought on 9/11. But it proved to be otherwise. So these new technologies are giving new access also. We don't know what AI is going to do. So all these technological challenges with the uncontrolled, not a parochial challenge. It's a regional challenge, it's a global challenge. And Pakistan definitely deserves to be partnered, to be supported, instead of some skewed and distorted views. We have got skewed views, people on our side who think of under certain conspiracy theories about the NATO's and the American presence over there. So is the case on the other side. And there are players who wants to spoil and destroy Pakistan's relation generally with the Western Hemisphere and particularly with the United States of America. We are the biggest beneficiary of this relationship. I get saddened when I see that we were the front line state who curtailed Soviet evil empire and the entire $36 trillion GDP, which West holds today, if it is not wholly solely to us, but we have been a very important player in that. So when you see in East Berlin an American soldier who the demolition of the Berlin Wall, I feel a Pakistani soldier should have been there too, because we have paid in our blood and flesh. And unfortunately, we have been unappreciated and we have been unable to tell our story as well. And the people who are on the other side of the aisle, they are the darlings. I'm not naming anyone. They are the darlings of the ultra capitalist world now. And we who were the soldiers, the forefront, who did, people would be saying that we fought the jihad, but we fought the jihad along the side of our monotheist capitalist. So we were partners. And I'm not suggesting that we should be rewarded for that role, but at least we should be appreciated for that role. We need acknowledgement. That is what is required. So Pakistan should not always be portrayed as a force which is negative and evil in the region. Pakistan is a force which would be part of the problem solution, not a problem creator. And I'm pretty much sure this so-called Sino-US tension, which a lot of people are taking interest in, and they're probably thriving on that. Our own view is that there would be another 1971, and there would be another rapprochement, and probably Islamabad would be another gateway towards Beijing for Washington. We do not have an incentive in conflict of Western Hemisphere and Chinese civilization. Our incentive is in your peace, in your reconciliation, in your engagement, in your coexistence. When West and China coexist, there is an incentive for us. But there are people, there are countries whose incentives are in this conflict of Chinese civilization along with the Western Hemisphere. And we're not part of that. And we encourage them also that let's find models and formulas where the coexistence provides opportunities to all instead of conflicts. Thank you so much.
Although I'd say that, we have to remember, we both invested in the wrong people in Afghanistan.
Yep.
Now, the small arms that got distributed to the TTP, well, we invested in the ANDSF and they gave them up, unfortunately. The Taliban, unfortunately, released hundreds of TTP fighters from jails, and when Nur Wali Masood offered his bayah to the Emir of the Taliban, they didn't reject it. Of course, they implicitly accepted it. And so, they are in cahoots with one another. And so that's a problem. I also very much agree that Pakistan doesn't get enough empathy from the international community or the world. I mean, for example, the Salalah incident, if the positions were reversed, Americans would have had a conniption. And I really do recognize that. And I think, this war in Afghanistan, for Marines like myself, it was personal. For the average American, it was far away. But for the average Pakistani, when the Marriott bombing happened and it shook Islamabad like an earthquake, no Pakistani, regardless of their class or station in life, could escape the ramifications of the war. So I recognize that all of you experienced that and Americans didn't. So I think that empathy is required. And I understand Pakistan doesn't receive it enough, and I can only give it to you as an individual. But in terms of the violence that Pakistan faces, unfortunately, I think Pakistan really is on its own. If you go to Washington or you go to Europe and you say, look, there are these attacks in DI Khan and you really need to partner with us, the answer is going to be, where's DI Khan? And I don't think the international community is going to really be motivated by that. So unfortunately, even though I do agree you deserve some partnership, I really, as an analyst, I don't think you're going to get it. You might get it on some technical level or some intelligence sharing level, but this fight is going to be yours and yours alone, and that's unfortunate, but it's the reality. But I would point out that I do think that, if we make a comparison between Afghanistan and Pakistan, there's not a single threat that Pakistan faces that can actually truly challenge the writ of the state at an existential level. In the case of Afghanistan, there was a legitimacy vacuum. I mean, the Taliban were able to fill that legitimacy vacuum without actually without actually working to achieve legitimacy among the Afghan people. It's not as if the Taliban have legitimacy among the Afghan people. It's simply that the former government didn't have legitimacy among the Afghan people, and the Taliban were able to wait that out and take advantage of it. That's not the case for the threats you face. I don't think that the BLA or the TTP truly have any legitimacy or can replace the writ of the state. They can get in your way. Unfortunately, sometimes that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in which Pakistan is so fixated on the security threat, and actually, because that becomes your own narrative, the international community actually reflects that narrative back on you. But, you know, these are not necessarily the best comparisons, but there are other countries in the world that have faced significant security threats with casualty figures that are similar to yours, if not higher. Mexico, Colombia, Sri Lanka, that have nevertheless achieved economic stability and even political stability and growth, even amid those challenges. Mexico still faces what is the equivalent of an insurgency. And yet you do see it as a success story. It has an amazing tourism sector, despite the fact it's probably more dangerous to be a tourist in Mexico than in Pakistan. So I think Pakistan should avoid this self-fulfilling prophecy of becoming too fixated on the narrative that, well, we don't have security, and without security, we can't achieve any of our other objectives. We must have security first. It actually all has to happen at once and in tandem with each other. So that's what I would say.
You know, Adam, I totally agree with you. But I also know that Pakistan is perhaps the only country that has fought terrorism on its own. But it is partnership on US having influence over countries which use Balochistan as a soft belly for Pakistan. I think that is the kind of support we cultivate.
I think so. I think that's very good. I think I'm going to change the subject from war and this. All right. I'll pick up something on what you said about education. You know, and you said about, Mr. Sarfraz Bugti will agree with me because in Lawrence College, you know, a number of head boys have been from Balochistan, right? And I know a number of cadet college, Jaja Cadet College. The top students are there from Balochistan, and some similar in Hassan Abdal and other places. Wherever the Baloch student has gone, he has achieved because he had an incentive to achieve, and this he did very well. So I think one of the key factors that you mentioned, Chief Minister, was that you must make this thing on you know, education. Really concentrate on education, and education right from the primary level right up to university and all. And obviously, the best thing would to have more good universities within Balochistan also. While there are and you've done very well by this PhD program and things like that. I think education is the need of the hour, and also education, which I'm sure the Chairman Software Export Board would tell you that, you know, the startups which are coming from Balochistan, as in IT, you know, one of our commercial interests in IT, the startups that are coming from Balochistan is tremendous incentive. And I think, you know, we must, you know, Adam took away the word potential from us yesterday. So we don't talk about potential, but the point is that the existing resources can be exploited, right? And those are human resources and material resources. Human and material resources. And these should be exploited to the maximum. Any other questions?
I just want to add
Yes.
one thing. I don't want to go to the war again. Just want to assure the people, Pakistani sittings here, the businessmen, despite all this surge and despite all these equipments Kakar Sahab was mentioning, the thermal imageries and others, the BLA or other militant groups, even TTP in Balochistan, they cannot hold an inch of our land for more than 1 hour. So, despite all this, education, no doubt, Sahil Sahab, education is the key, and we are working very hard on this. not only scholarship programs, we develop another program for human development as well, which earlier I forget to mention. We are training our 30,000 young boys and girls, and we are trying to export them to Gulf and Europe. The first batch is going later in this month, 628 girls and boys, those who are trained, and now they're going to Gulf and Europe. So this is what we are exporting. They will earn, they will be earn remittances for themselves and for the Pakistan as well. So the focus is on the youth, because we have a very vibrant youth, and we are focusing on them. We are in dialogue with them, because there is some misunderstanding or disintegration between the state and the youth of Balochistan, which is more important to like this violence. I think the narrative challenge and the subversion challenge is bigger than this violent challenge.
I have never in my public life, I've never been in public life for almost 14, 15 years, more than that. I have never seen a single shred of evidence where United States of America or either United Kingdom or European Union has been involved at the state level in any sabotage activity as far as Balochistan is concerned. It is only India, our eastern neighbor, and for understandable reasons. So some of our analysts, they just due to anti-Western rhetoric, and there is a constituency within Pakistan also for multiple reasons, they try to link this insurgency or violence to those major powers. That is unfortunately not true, or fortunately not true. And we should avoid, particularly when we are speaking at quite serious level in important areas where the narratives are being shaped. So we should avoid that. India, yes, we have got evidence. India is not that we are accusing. We have got hardcore evidence of their involvement, and we have a past. They have a past with us, and we have a checkered past with them. So that is understandable. Why United Kingdom or US or Canada or Mexico would have an interest in the piece of land 10,000 miles away from its capital, and would be and people would be arguing that, oh, they want to contain China. I said, okay, why they're not containing China in Latin America? Why they're not containing China through violence in any other part of the world? Why they're so much interested in me to contain China in my hometown? It doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Thanks.